world may have ended, but Junkyard Joust continues. Baby Humongous Cookie rules over the joust with an iron fist. If you want fuel, she's got it, but you have to win. And to win the Junkyard Joust, you have to survive it.
These 5 teams have one last shot to make it into the Apocalypse Joust semifinals. Hi everybody, I'm Aaron Yonda, and 2 of these teams will move on from this competition. Let's take a closer look. Black Death was responsible for their own death in their qualifier. They'll have to try a new strategy to make it out of the wild card. Fractal Panda has a team of agile, light-on-their-feet cars. Highway Hooligans came very close in their qualifier. They've got the weapons to make it happen here. Mad Apache had some great survivability with a few of their cars. Zone Zero showed some incredible lasting power in their qualifier, and they're here to try to make it into the semifinals, as are all these teams. Here we go. Cookie, say the word.
Shred it!
And with that, we're off to the crashes. Round 1, starting off with Mad Apache, Old Ice, sponsored by Farty Marty. The randomized running order is up as Old Ice immediately takes itself out and goes face down on the track. Or face sideways, I guess. Up first for Fractal Panda, Desert Rat, sponsored by Tim the Bear Neal. Ooh, off to a vicious start already. Desert Rat blows Old Ice off the track and takes the gun off the top at the same time. The whole thing just sheared off. That was a great hit. Hitting the track first for Zone Zero, it's Uranium, sponsored by G-Zeus. Uranium tries to get under Desert Rat, can't quite pull it off, though the thing is poised to go flying on the next hit. Next hit to be provided by Slamson for the Highway Hooligans, sponsored by Chorgoth the Infinite Horror. Slamson hits the pile, and Desert Rat just hops up into the safety area. That's a pretty good spot to be, if you're right side up. First up for Black Death, Carwall, sponsored by Chicken Rings Onion Wings. Carwall slides underneath Slamson. Nice takedown. Black Death opting not to start off with their ramp car this time, hoping to prevent friendly fire. Crowbar's up next, sponsored by Bentley's Brakes and Bumpers. Crowbar smashes into the back of Carwall. It's almost a ramp. Crowbar tries to escape the track to safety, can't quite make it. Here comes another rat. This time it's Sewer Rat, sponsored by Sean and Patrick Hogan. Sewer Rat launches off the back of Carwall, goes up to its friend the other rat, but it is sideways. Crowbar escapes to safety. Sewer Rat sideways for now, and Carwall pushed up into possibly a more deadly ramp. Zombie Hunter 2.0, sponsored by the Miskatonic Automotive Club. Zombie Hunter leaps off the back of Carwall, flips over twice in a graceful arc, and lands flawlessly. Some cars like to fly, and that is one of them. The Shovener up next, sponsored by G-Zeus. Shovener flips upside down off the back of Carwall. Carwall shears off a gun on top of Uranium, and we've got some damage already. The Shovener lying prone, and here comes Heavy Mauler, sponsored by Chicken Wings Onion Wings. Heavy Mauler slams into position. Gentle enough of a hit that it doesn't take out Carwall, and the Shovener stays upside down. Now the mousetrap is set up, though the ramp leading up to it is a little beat up. Here comes Helmet, sponsored by Emo Dingo. A bruising hit by Helmet causes Heavy Mauler's back end to come off the track. Helmet nearly getting the whole thing dislodged, and somehow managing not to set off the trap. Sands of Time, sponsored by Sid from Cybertron. Sands of Time takes Helmet out. Helmet knocked over, and it can't roll because it's pinned there. Sands of Time tries to escape, almost does it. Nightmare Fuel, sponsored by Chorgoth the Infinite Horror. Nightmare Fuel knocks Helmet back upright again. Helmet being helped by its helmet, maybe? Sands of Time escapes, and the back of Heavy Mauler stays upright. Wet Willies, sponsored by Stump's Tree Farm. Nightmare Fuel has a bit of a ramp going on right there, even though it's kind of soft, and Wet Willies jumps off of it, gets caught on Heavy Mauler. Right now, looks like it's probably right side up. Here comes Under Carnage with that extra low front bit, sponsored by Chorgoth the Infinite Horror. Undercarnage gets underneath Nightmare Fuel and pokes it off the track, but then gets the front of the vehicle stuck on Wet Willies. The front of Undercarnage raised up, could be a ramp in the back. Machini, sponsored by Reaper EOD. Machini knocks Undercarnage around, doesn't take it out, but does take itself out, and that seems to have helped Wet Willies out a lot. Flying Blind, sponsored by Emo Dingo. Flying Blind gives it to Machini. Machini sets off the trap and gets slapped by it. Machini denied by the trap and forced upside down. Party Crasher now, sponsored by Farty Marty. Party Crasher gets under Flying Blind, flips it up and over. A nice hit. If the car stays like that, it'll be out. Refinery Rocket, 154 grams, biggest vehicle on the track today, sponsored by Jedi. And a big hit as expected. Cars go flying. Machini stays upside down when it lands. Party Crasher manages to escape that somehow. Doesn't look like there was any other eliminations, although I'm just noticing that Carwell has toppled up in the front. That'll be a loss for Black Death, who's sending down Deadbolt now, sponsored by Sloss Automotive Sachet and Buffet. Deadbolt pushes into the pile, but really nowhere to go because of the weight of Refinery Rocket. But for now, Deadbolt is locked in. Wreckage for Matapacho, sponsored by Judy Collins. Wreckage stops dead on Deadbolt. Cars are starting to back down the track. Overkill for Fractal Panda, sponsored by Reaper EOD. Overkill also locks it in. The line's getting bigger. Torpedo Carbide for Zone 0, sponsored by Emo Dingo. Torpedo Carbide also locks it in. Axe to Grind looking to shake up that line, sponsored by Sauce Automotive Sachet and Buffet for the hooligans. Axe to Grind cannot get underneath Torpedo Carbide, and wow, this is the farthest back I've seen cars in a while. Final car of the round, it's Flipstream, sponsored by Judy Collins. Flipstream flies underneath all the cars. They go up in the air, and impressive recovery there by Axe to Grind. The other two cars that were affected managed to stay alive as well, and that is going to end round 1. Scanning the wreckage on the field, looks like we've got at least 7 eliminations, and we're gonna have to take a couple measurements. A close call for Wet Willies, and it is just beyond the 45-degree angle, and a close call for Heavy Mauler as well, but it is just below the 45-degree angle. So that will be 8 eliminations on the round. Highway Hooligans taking the biggest hit with 3 losses. Fractal Panda and Matapacho each lost 2, Black Death 1, and appropriately enough, Zone 0 lost 0. Zone 0 gonna start us off for round 2 with Uranium. They gotta be happy with the results of round 1, gives them a clear lead in the competition right now. Undercarnage takes a shot at Uranium, and Uranium takes it. Almost gets locked back in, but can't quite manage it. Undercarnage is curbside. That looks precarious. Desert Rat smacks Undercarnage off the track. Undercarnage cannot make the recovery. Uranium stays steady and almost escapes the track. A little bump by Crowbar, and Desert Rat goes more upside down. Axe to Grind pops Crowbar up in the air. Crowbar gets all the way over to the safety area and manages to keep it upright. Again, that little vehicle showing some nice balance. Nightmare Fuel gets under Axe to Grind. Axe to Grind gets thrown off the track but keeps it level. And look at that, Desert Rat makes a recovery. Deadbolt tries to mess with Nightmare Fuel, but Nightmare Fuel is not budging. Enough of a force, though, that it looks like Uranium is starting to turn sideways. Sands of Time plows into the Deadbolt on the back of Deadbolt, and there's nowhere to go. Ooh, wow, what a hit by Helmet, taking down 2 vehicles with that hit. Deadbolt topples, Sands of Time gets thrown over and upside down. A nice undercut, and somehow the combination of undercutter and Helmet takes Deadbolt out. Ooh, Helmet's reward for the double takedown is to be taken out by the big Refinery Rocket, thrown all the way up to the front, and it can't quite get back upright again. It was close. Party Crasher can't quite get underneath the Refinery Rocket, pops it up in the air a little bit, but it wobbles and stays in. Kind of looks like it was cartoon surprised. Heavy Mauler pushes into the line, but it stays relatively tight. The Refinery Rocket is balanced very precariously. Overkill knocks the back of Heavy Mauler off the track, tries to escape itself, but can't quite make it. And that is a vulnerable position. Wreckage tries to take advantage of it, but Overkill does a great job flipping around and landing it, although a rough landing spot on the back of that Heavy Mauler ramp. Torpedo Carbide forces Wreckage forward. Heavy Mauler starting to slide off, maybe gonna get flipped. Black Death sending down Flipstream, and Flipstream does some damage. Wreckage turns sideways. That is a solid car for Mad Apacho, and they can't afford to not have it in the match. The ramp is set up, and it's Zombie Hunter who's gonna be taking it. Whoa! Zombie Hunter takes the ramp, and I don't even know what happened. It's gone. Wait, there, it bounced back into oh, wow, look at that. A recovery. You can't really see what happened, but it must have bounced off the wall and then eventually managed to get back upright again. Incredible recovery there by Zombie Hunter. 6 eliminations in that round. Mad Apacho in trouble here with only 1 left. Fractal, Highway Hooligans, and Black Death all down to 2, and Zone 0 finally loses 1. Zone 0 still looking great in this match, starting off with Nightmare Fuel for round 3. Nightmare Fuel manhandles the track buffer and gets into position up front. Black Death sends down Heavy Mauler first, and whoa, Heavy Mauler kind of parks on top of Nightmare Fuel. That could end up being trouble for Black Death. Overkill pushes Heavy Mauler just a little bit farther up on top of Nightmare. Refinery Rocket smashes Overkill off the screen way over into the barrels, where it lands upside down in a heap. Heavy Mauler is poised in a really odd position, somehow managing to stay balanced, at least for now. Looks like Refinery Rocket might even be holding it there on the back of that ramp. Not much Crowbar can do to Refinery Rocket. It's too heavy and it bounces backwards and sideways. Certainly not out of it yet, though. Zombie Hunter tosses Crowbar aside, and Crowbar can't quite make the recoveries it's so good at. The wall gets in the way, and it doesn't look good for Mad Apacho right now. We may have just seen our first team get eliminated. Flipstream slides underneath Torpedo Carbide, gets that ramp set up, and also sends its teammate off the track to relative safety. Although now Refinery Rocket actually looks like it's hung up on the back of that thing and in trouble. Desert Rat careens off the jump, goes straight into the wall, and does it land it? No, it is right now looks like it's sideways, and it could recover, but that's a tough spot to be in. X2 Grind takes the ramp, and after some flipping around, it makes a really great recovery. And now it looks like Refinery Rocket also locked back in safely. This is where Zombie Hunter thrives, and it does it yet again. Look at that jump. Wham! Into the wall, and perfect recovery. This vehicle really does thrive when it's flying through the sky. Final car of the round is Party Crasher. Party Crasher gets a bad bounce off the back of Refinery Rocket and just flips over upside down and done. No more cars coming down and won't get a chance to recover. 4 eliminations in that round, and we are actually going to lose 2 teams. Fractal Panda lost both their remaining cars, and Mad Apacho lost their remaining 1. They put up a good fight, but now there are just 3 teams left. When one of these is eliminated, the other 2 will get to move on to the semifinals. Right now, Zone 0 still has a slight edge with 3 cars remaining. Nightmare Fuel gonna start us off. The running order is up. Who's Black Death gonna send down first? Looks like it's gonna be Heavy Mauler, who had good luck going in this order last time. This time doesn't quite go up on the back of Nightmare Fuel. Those front wheels are going nuts though. The Hooligans send Refinery Rocket to finish off the Mauler, and it flips over in an epic tumble. The trap not doing anything to that big vehicle, and the biggest vehicle took out the second biggest vehicle. That's a tough loss for Black Death. Refinery Rocket gets torpedoed by Torpedo Carbide, but it does no damage and it stays locked in. Flipstream carves its way under Torpedo Carbide, flipping it over and sideways, and if it stays like that, that'll be a loss for Zone 0. Now that ramp is in position 2. X to Grind launches up into the wall, smacks into it, makes a height of 7, just underneath an 8. Wow, that is some massive height right there. Then it lands. X2 Grind usually makes the recovery on this kind of a toss, but for some reason just gets too tangled up. And the Hooligans are going to lose what is probably their best vehicle. Zombie Hunter takes the jump and loves every second of it. This car can't wait to go off that jump, reaching a height of 6 on the way there before it makes a beautiful recovery. And that is already the end of round 4. 3 eliminations on the field. No teams eliminated, unbelievably. Each team lost 1, so that's going to be Zone 0 at 2, Highway Hooligans and Black Death at 1. It's getting down to the wire. Round 5, Zone 0 is going to start us off again with Nightmare Fuel. Zone 0 might have 2 vehicles left, but there's an undercutter, there's a big vehicle coming down. Anything could happen here. Nightmare Fuel does a great job of stopping Flipstream from going underneath it. And now the big question is, can Refinery Rocket get underneath that ramp? Because if it can't, I got a bad feeling about what's going to happen. Refinery Rocket takes the jump and does not survive. It hits the back of Nightmare Fuel, flips over, makes it to a 6, just barely on the way out, and that's a big vehicle, not very adept at recovering. It's not coming back from that. This might just be the end of the match for the Highway Hooligans. Final car of the round, Zombie Hunter just has a little bit of fun knowing that their team is going to the finals, and it flies into the wall, flips and hits it again somehow, and then backs all the way down to go visit with Cookie and say, give me that gas. 1 elimination on the round. The Highway Hooligans fought valiantly, as did all the teams in this match. But tonight, to the victors go the spoils. Open the vault and bring out the gas. Zone 0 and Black Death are moving on to the semifinals. Here are all the teams competing in the semifinals. There's going to be 2 matches. 8 teams in each of them, and 3 teams from each of those matches will move on for a total of 6 teams competing in the Apocalypse Joust Finals. For now, the vault is closing. Cookie's going to send us off.
Most of the time, I just say phrases. It's been a tough night for everybody.
Stay tuned next Sunday for the 3rd main event. Thank you to each and every one of my patrons who support this show. Check out the car sponsorships and other rewards over on the Patreon if you feel you're able to support this show. The link is in the description. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.